Hello from the town of Târgu Jiu, dear road trip lovers. We are now in Oltenia, south of the Carpathian Mountains, like I said, in the beautiful town of Târgu Jiu. And we are driving today to Băile Herculane over the Mehedinți mountains. It should be a nice mountain drive. Let's go. We start in Târgu Jiu, in the center of the town. It's a town of about 82,000 inhabitants, very beautifully situated on the Jiu River as it exits the mountains to the Subcarpathians. The town is very well known for the sculptures, for the works of the sculptor Constantin Brâncuși, one of the most famous sculptures worldwide, at least during the 20th century. Brâncuși was born near Târgu Jiu, close to Târgu Jiu, in a village called Hobița, and stayed also here and in Craiova and in Bucharest before departing to Paris. He went to Paris on foot after a artwork of him was not accepted by someone in Bucharest that commanded it. They paid like just 50% of it, and with this money Brâncuși couldn't afford to buy a train ticket to Paris. He wanted to go to Paris to further improve his technique, to go and study with many known artists, as Paris was at that time very famous art city, probably the most famous in the world. And so Brâncuși had to live by foot to Paris. He did it. He came through here, as Târgu Jiu lies more or less on the road, on the way from Bucharest to Paris. He did it in the year 1905, I think. And he came here, he visited his mother, he said bye-bye, he had said bye-bye and went further. Stayed a little bit in Vienna, admired there some nice artworks, and then went further on to Paris. And in Paris he developed as one of the most prominent artists of the 20th century, at least in sculpture. He had a lot of known works and expositions everywhere in the world, in New York, in Paris, and he has also some works here in Târgu Jiu. That's why the town is known. Here in the park to the right there is a table of silence and the gate of the kiss. As we are now crossing the Jiu River, you see it's a nice lake and the park. And another very known work of him, the Infinite Column, is situated in another park at the entrance of the city. Drove past it during the drive from Drăgășani to Târgu Jiu as I came to Târgu Jiu. Please feel free to check that video too. And from Târgu Jiu we are driving on the National Road 67 for about 20-25 kilometers before turning on a county road northbound, and then following the National Road 67D further on to Herculane. I can actually take the 67D from here, as it starts from here, from the National Road 67. But I did this video once from Târgu Jiu to Tismana, and even though it was of a poorer quality, no 4K video, it was still quite a good one, I think. Filmed it with 1028 pixel. Here it starts to the right. So I would like to cover now also this road 67 on a part that I haven't covered. As I also filmed the road 67 further on, from Motru to Drobeta Turnu Severin, and shared it also. So now I'll cover the parts of the 67 and 67Ds that I haven't covered and also haven't clinched yet. So new roads for me to clinch in Romania. There are still some national roads where I haven't been till now. I've been on about 70–73% of the national road system in Romania. But I would like to do all of them once. Still some to be done. Romania has about 16,000 kilometers of national roads. And now we are leaving Târgu Jiu. And we are crossing for the beginning. Now we are crossing the Sușița River. And we cross for the beginning a relatively flat area called the Big Flatland, Câmpul Mare in Romanian. The National Road 67 that we are now driving on is relatively long from Râmnicu Vâlcea over Târgu Jiu to Drobeta Turnu Severin. The sections that we are now driving is the last ones that I have to cover, or I have to drive. I haven't clinched yet. They are now in the suburbs of Târgu Jiu. Târgu Jiu is, economically speaking, doing quite well. The people here are quite wealthy people. Some new industries appeared after a difficult transition during the 90s and the 2000 years. There are also a lot of tourist sites here in the area. We have the town itself with the Brâncuși works. We have the Tismana Monastery, we have the Jiu Gorges, the Sohodol Gorges. We have the old tourist sites that are direction Horezu, like the Bolovraj cave, the Muieri cave, the Bolovraj Monastery, the Rânca ski resort, also very interesting in the Pârâu Mountains. A lot of interesting places here in the area, both naturally and culturally very interesting. Visited most of them, but still have some left. For example, never been in Sohodol Gorges. Also, the area has nice traditions, ethnography, popular costumes. And we are now in Bălesti, so I have to say hello to Anca and Dan. Dan is they are our parents-in-law. Our godfathers, don't know. Parents-in-law, it's the same. But I say hello to them. Very nice people and friends. With their 3 daughters. Family, an example. been in Bălesti once for their wedding. Stayed here with Anca's family. Road 67, it's in a relatively good condition. Was modernized like for 15 years I think, but it's still very good. Goes to Drobeta to Severin, to the Danube. About 80 kilometers till Drobeta. There's two big hills on the way. But like I said, we won't drive too much on it. As we'll change on the National 67D at Tismana. We have very good weather today. Temperature of 17 degrees Celsius. Very nice spring day, end of March. It's 1 p.m. Now we are in the middle of the day. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, in the Oltenia region, for the first part of the drive and then crossing into Banat. We are now at an altitude of about 220. Reach over 800, the highest point of the trip. Now I will stay a bit at this altitudes of 200, between 200 and 250 before starting the climb in the mountains. We'll cross the Mehedinți mountains. Expect also some snow up there. Maybe not much, but a little bit. I can see now to the right, to the north, the snowy Carpathians. A lot of snow in the mountains, in the big mountains, but they are very high. It's Retezat mountains are there at over 2,500 meters in altitude. They'll have snow I think until mid-May, beginning of June. Very good straight road through these villages near Târgu Jiu. This road is a relatively important one. Sees quite a lot of traffic. And also some forceful carriages. Actually not allowed to drive, it's appropriate. them here on this road. It's not allowed to use them on national roads anymore since I think 10 years ago. But you can still find them. Definitely the problem is they don't have any parallel roads. These villages are like built just on this road with one line of houses on the left, one line of houses on the right, and no other roads, no other parallel roads. I don't know why the people do want so much to stay at the main road, because there is quite some traffic here. I would definitely want to be, let's say, 100-200 meters away from such a road. Have a quieter alternative, because many people are coming here in order to escape the noisy city with a lot of pollution, and they are coming here and building their house on the main road, which definitely has more pollution, more noise. And here the cars are driving faster, it's more dangerous than in the town. county road goes to the town of Rovinari. It's a 674C. Here it is. crossing the Tismana River that flows from the Vulcan Mountains. And we'll shortly turn right in order to drive a little bit on its ferry and reach the National Road 67D. t-shirts, 17 degrees. In the sun, it's very warm. in spring when the mountains are snow capped, and here in the valleys the trees are starting to blossom. Very nice contrast. Near the mountains. Close to it is the Tismana Monastery, one of the oldest monasteries in Romania, in Wallachia. It dates from the 14th century, 1385 I think is the year. It's very nice. It's a little bit in the mountains. You have to go right to access it, and then left. But now we are going to left towards the Mehedinți mountains, towards Baia de Aramă. And we are now on the National Road 67D. So it looks very nice. It looks to have been repaved recently. It's a secondary national road. Goes from Târgu Jiu to Băile Herculane. where it joins National Road 6. It's a nice alternative to go from Târgu Jiu to West Romania, to Timișoara. The most common way would be over National Road 67 and then National Road 6 from Drobeta to Severin. But that's a nice alternative over 67D and until Băile Herculane, and then on National Road 6 it's much more mountainous here. Go deeper into the mountains. This part of Gorj County is known for its sheep growing traditions. A lot of shepherds here. The sheep are free, moving free on the mountain, in the mountains. They go there in summer and then come back in winter, come down in the villages. Celei seems to be a bigger one. National Road 67D is built at the foothills of the mountains between Târgu Jiu and Tismana, crossing some small hills on the way. It's a very beautiful drive. Filmed it 7 years ago. It's not 4K quality, but you can check that video too if you are interested to see how it looks from Târgu Jiu to Tismana. Just now we are driving on the next section from Tismana to Băile Herculane on it. We have now a small hill. Small hill to cross. And then we'll descend to the Modru River Valley and Baia de Aramă. Must be the top of the hill. Obârșia-Cloșani cave, quite a famous one. And here another county road, the 671B, follows the Motru River down to Motru. And we are now entering the Mehedinți county. Also a very beautiful county with access to the Danube on the south, also to the South Romanian plains, but also to the Subcarpathian hills, Mehedinți plateau, very beautiful area with many caves. The longest caves in Romania are situated here. Topolița cave, Izverna cave, and also Mehedinți covers a part of the Mehedinți mountains. So a very varied county. Until now never been in this part of it. Been in Drobeta, Turnul Severin, the seat of the county, a few times. And in Orșova too, and also on some roads radiating from Drobeta, but never in this northern part of the county. Also part of the Iron Gate Gorges are in the Mehedinți county. And now we are already in Baia de Aramă. It's a small town of about 5,600 inhabitants. There used to be copper mines here in the area, but they are not active anymore. That's more or less the center of the town. Town is also the gateway to the northern part of the Mehedinți plateau. There's, like I said, many interesting caves. Now at about 300 meters altitude, still quite low, and basically start climbing from here slowly. That's the beginning, but it will get steeper and steeper. Very warm, 17 warm degrees. slopes of the Mehedinți mountains. They are not very big mountains. I think the highest peak is at about 1400. The Stan peak. But still very nice mountains. It's a nice karst landscape. So many caves. They are covering the area south of the Cerna River Valley. Going slightly into the Subcarpathians. We are now in the Subcarpathians, actually, until Obârșia-Cloșani, and then we are in the mountains. Then we can say we are in the mountains. Tighter, and we have more curves on the road. The drive becomes much more interesting. I like the way how the villages are climbing on the slopes. Our house is like 100 meters over the road. See them now. They definitely have nice views from there. Are starting to blossom. Not all of them, but some. I think most of them are going to blossom in about 1, maximum 2 weeks. It's the beginning of April. Quite a few villages here on the southern slopes of the Mehedinți mountains. A nice area, also with many traditions, popular costumes. It's an area of ethnographic value. The Brebina Valley. We climbed a little bit more. We are some meters above the river at about 352. That's what my GPS watch tells me. 350 meters. These villages and the houses are looking pretty good. Hard-working people here. It's not easy to make for a living here in these areas. This agriculture is not very easy to do. The slopes are steep, you can see. Very nice house up there on the hill. The commune of Baia de Aramă. And you can see the highest peak of the Mehedinți mountains, the Stan Peak with snow on it. Road, relatively good quality pavement, very light traffic and nice landscapes. What can you want more as a road tripper? Nice. Finding its way through this contact area between the subcarpathians and the Carpathians. You can see how winding it is. Still 48 kilometers to go to Băile Herculane. And we gained some altitude now. Are about 30 meters over the valley, 20 meters. quite far away from big cities. Still quite traditional. You can see in front of us a village of Obârșia-Cloșani on the hill. Very picturesque village. Look how steep are the gardens of those people. Not an easy job to work them. All of the streets with asphalt. Did a good job here. It's a school. It's also nice. Traditional house. I'm totally positively surprised. Children, young people. Not everybody left these areas in search of better opportunities somewhere else. Also new houses. Steeper and steeper. We are now exiting Obârșia-Cloșani. That's the last village on the way, if I remember correctly. And now we have like 40 kilometers without any villages until Băile Herculane. There is still one, a small one, called Godinești. We are now at about 500 meters altitude. And this is a sheep herd. They are bringing prosperity to these areas. Here on the southern slopes of the mountains, it's much greener. But I still expect some snow up there on the pass. Firefighters. A fire here. Small communities. Pieptani Peak, the highest in the Mehedinți mountains. The prominent one in front of us, also with snow on it. Stony it is. We have about 15 degrees here, 16 degrees on the southern slopes. There is snow on the other side in the forest. Is now saying 650 meters altitude. And from now on, no villages for 40 kilometers. Until Băile Herculane. Just mountains and beautiful landscape. Still have some meters to climb. Time to the nearest hospital. From here. Here you can buy cheese. Lot of cheese there. pass. Now we cross the pass. It's about 800 meters. And the touristic trails are going to the Valea lui Stan, to the Stan Peak, sorry. Here on the left. The pass is right underneath it. And much more snow on the north side, as expected. We are now descending to the Cerna Valley. Very, very beautiful valley. And you see in front of us the Godinești mountains that are going to the right into the Retezat mountains. Okay. Very, very nice view. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And the Cerna mountains in front of us with the highest peak at about 1800. Cerna River, to which we are descending now, flows from the Godinești mountains, basically underneath the Jiu-Cerna Pass, through a beautiful, beautiful mountain valley to Băile Herculane into the Danube at Orșova. It's one of the most spectacular rivers, in my opinion, in the Carpathians, at least in the Romanian Carpathians, having a very wide valley, many kilometers without any villages, very few people living here, because usually the other valleys are quite populated places, but Cerna is very, very wild. Just some very remote communities in the valley or on the hills up on the valley. Come back here and do also some trails. I saw the trail signs on the pass. You have to do once the peak, the Stan Peak in front of us. You can follow this ridge until Băile Herculane, the main ridge of the Mehedinți mountains. Very long trail. north side of the mountains is also pretty steep. We are now reaching a small river, small valley. In a national park, the national park Domogled Cerna Valley. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty that is conserved here. So this karstic area is of great importance, and the area is also known for a little bit different climate in comparison with the rest of Romania, with Mediterranean influence here in the Mehedinți mountains. So there are some species of flora and fauna that are to be found just here in Romania. Cerna Valley. The Cerna river flows down on the right. And there is another house in front of us. No village, just a house on the valley. Following the Cerna Valley further on uphill. Must be a very spectacular drive too, but it's not modernized. There are plans to modernize it, to pave it to Petroșani over the Jiu-Cerna Pass at 1330. There was a lot of opposition to this project. Many people arguing that the area is so beautiful that we shouldn't build transit roads there. Which may be true. I mean, as a hiker, I can understand it. As a road tripper, I'd like to drive on it. But I'll try to drive it also if also unpaved. If it's not in a very bad condition, I can do it. As you see now, the Cerna Valley is very, very wild. There's also here a small house on the right, a group of houses, but it's very scarcely inhabited, just a few. Isolated communities. also some small human communities on the hills, on the mountains, very high in the Cerna mountains, some like 400 or 500 meters up on the valley at 800-900 meters altitude. Small communities like Ineleț or Scărișoara with just a few people living there. I know because I was here at the mountain marathon, very famous one, Hercules Marathon, and the route was through these communities. It was a very spectacular mountain run, 45 kilometers long. Had a great time running here at Hercules. So there are many tourist trails, many hiking trails starting from the valley. Also in Cerna mountains to the right or Mehedinți mountains to the left. Both areas of astounding natural beauty. County. So the third county today. Started with Gorj, then Mehedinți, and then Karaseverin. Băile Herculane, our destination, lies in Karaseverin County. It's a very mountainous county with Mehedinți, Cerna Mountains, Scenic Mountains, Arjoci Mountains. It has also a big part of the Iron Gate gorges of the Danube, and it extends to the west to the West Romanian plains, a flat area. So it has a good mix of flat area, hills, mountains. Here also some nice trails are starting from this point. And I think I drove once until here. If I'm correct, here was the start of the Hercules Marathon in this area, if I remember well. Not 100% sure, but it was in this area. trails, with hiking trails. Many of them in the area here, and there are also some hot spots here. The people are going to the hot spots. The 7 hot springs. Closer and closer to our destination, to Băile Herculane. Băile Herculane was known as a spa town since antiquity. The Romans had some thermal baths here. They started to use the water therapeutically, but then it was somehow forgotten until the Austrians came here in the 18th century, and they really started to put in value this place. During Maria Teresa, there were many spa buildings built, many historical buildings, and Băile Herculane became known for the aristocracy of the empire, rivalizing with Carlsbad, Karlovy Vary now, Marienbad, Marianske Lázne, or Francesbad, Františkovice Lázne now, all three in Czech Republic. It was very, very famous at that time. During the communist rules, the communists built also some new hotels, and now we are entering Băile Herculane. But the historical ones started to fall into the decay. We're crossing the Cerna River. And they are until now in a big state of decay. They are historical monuments, but they are not taken care of. The other road on the right, it's unfortunately not possible to drive there, but goes directly to these historical buildings dating from the end of the 18th century, most of them, during the golden age of Băile Herculane. Hopefully someone will renovate them, but they are really outstanding buildings. During the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, a lot of small accommodation facilities appeared here in Băile Herculane. Small villas, pensions. You can see a historical buildings there in an advanced state of decay, fortunately. And now most of the people are staying in this small private accommodation, or are staying in the communist hotels, the bigger hotels built during the communist times. There are 2 or 3 big ones, but the spa town of Băile Herculane is known internationally. In the last years, tourists are starting to come here from other countries for the spa facilities. It's a very great area, also very beautiful nature. The road doesn't go through it, but it's more or less like a bypass for Băile Herculane. And there are also many hiking trails, you can see them. The trailheads here in Băile Herculane. It's really be more put in value. That's the only problem here. We are almost at the intersection with and this is a big communist hotels. We are almost at the intersection with National Road 6. We still have like 4 kilometers till there. And you have a nice view from here over the town. There's also a small town, Băile Herculane. About 4,000 people living here. Most of them are working in the tourism industry. Like I said, many tourists are coming here despite the decay of the older buildings. It should be a pearl of the Carpathians, this spa resort, because the water is also has some special properties, healing properties. And here some other touristic trails. You can spend here like 2 or 3 weeks going around, hiking, do the thermal bath, stay in a hot pot for relaxing afterwards. Very nice. And now I'll end the video here in Băile Herculane. Hope you enjoyed it. It was for me also a great drive. Never drove on this road, most of it. I really enjoyed to be in the Mehedinți mountains. One of the few national roads in Romania, mountain national roads, that I haven't driven. It was great for me to drive on it. And like I said, now I'll end the video here in Băile Herculane. Hope you also enjoyed it as much as I did while driving here. And stay tuned for more videos from our road trips here on the channel. Bye bye, until the next time.